Conversations with Elders, hosted by yours truly, Louis-Virie Blanche, welcoming you to Glastonbury Radio 432, where we will be TED Talking in tongues with the elders of all ages, all generations, all races, cultures, and creeds. All gender, religious, or political preferences will be honored and encouraged on Glastonbury Radio 432, Conversations with Elders, where it is our treasured pleasure to roll out the red carpet of golden liquid love light to you in honor of the queendom come, soul dancing free to life's heartbeat drum, in honor of mother, daughter, sister, lover, priestess, goddess, friend, sharing the blessings of love's perfect stranger, Deja Vu, welcoming you to Glastonbury Radio 432.
It's too cosmic, much too cosmic for me. Much too cosmic.
Aloha, hola, aho, hello. This is Louis-Virie Blanche, and this is Conversations with Elders. And we are pleased and happy and honored to have Dr. Mosen with us again.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm warmer than you are.
I know it's we had hail and snow here yesterday, and it was almost a little smaller than the size of a marble.
So you're all warm and cuddly, and I'm in 80 degrees here.
Yeah, it's sweating.
But you need a overcoat. I have no sleeves.
Yeah, some of the heat here, yeah.
Well, I'm very excited. We're going to talk tonight about entropical centralization. And the idea is that wherever there's centralization, it brings forth entropy.
Yes. Because what happened, entropy is as a result of is the offspring, or let's say byproduct of centralized energy sources, let's say such as gas, such as gas, oil, nuclear, and all that. And if you notice, all of those energy sources, in order to utilize and provide services, it's the process of matter to energy. Anytime, we have a process of matter to energy, that is defined as entropy, ever increasing chaos. That's why pollution is never decreasing, it's always increasing. Now, what happened since this industrial revolution, all the processes of capitalism or Marxism or socialism, all of those have been as a result of matterism. We are using matter and centralized energy sources. When we are using centralized energy sources, then it involves, and it's through the process of entropy.
Well, do you know how long it actually takes when we're getting fossil fuel out of Mother Nature, out of the earth? The fossil fuel that we're getting out of the earth took how long to form? Isn't it hundreds of thousands of years? How long is it to produce?
Yeah, it takes sometimes millions of years to produce, and we have used it mostly in past 50 years.
And it's not replenishing itself.
Yeah, so I refer to it in some other charts I have sent it to you as temporary energy sources. That's very temporary. Now, when we have something opposite of entropy, which is syntropy, we are using permanent energy sources, such as like wind, earth energy, or sun. So those are permanent and they are decentralized. Oil, gas, nuclear, and all that are centralized. You notice people who have got extremely wealthy, they have got because they were manipulating or managing the process of entropy. So as a result, entropy induced centralization.
And if you're manufacturing something that increases disorder, chances are you're going to have to make a replacement of that much quicker.
Yeah, but what happened is it's the race between carrying capacity of environment, how much more entropy or pollution. Entropy, let's associate it with pollution. When oil burns, we have pollution, we have gas, pollution, nuclear, we have more pollution. It's the race between how much we can go through carrying capacity of environment. It's between how much this environment can carry any more entropy and availability of these resources. Because these resources, again, they are very temporary. So if temporary, it's going to run out, or the price is going to be through the roof. And then, at the same time, we have to look at the carrying capacity of environment. How much more environment the city of Los Angeles or New York can absorb and accumulate pollution or entropy. So it's whichever one of those is going to reach the threshold, that's the end.
Well, cities like Mexico City and Los Angeles that you mentioned, some of these cities have been going through these challenges for decades.
Yeah.
So what's with people enjoying breathing that dirty air? They don't mind. But I want to say something since I'm talking about Mexico City. I think there's a guy in Mexico, I think his name is Slim. He's a billionaire.
Yes.
And every other day in Mexico City, it's so crowded that only the odd number license plates drive to the city one day, and then the even numbers are allowed to drive the next.
Yes.
If you drive on the day that's not your turn, you can get a ticket.
Yes.
But on Sunday in Mexico City, no cars are allowed. And this gentleman named Slim, he bought bicycles, and they're all over the city. You can ride bicycles for free in Mexico City on Sunday.
That's the way to go.
Now, this is what they had. They did this to offset this entropy that had been produced for decades, hundreds of years of pollution, and a huge population of people gathered and centralized around an urban environment.
Yeah. If you look at accumulated wealth, or somebody get extremely wealthy, is because they can focus and centralize the function of entropies, function of centralization. It's like, production. Instead of production by masses, becomes mass production. So mass production is centralized.
So if something needs to be distributed and you create a bottleneck,
yes,
if you centralize the passageway of whatever, it's harder for things to get through, and you can also monitor and control that.
Yes.
It's like you have a toll booth or the Panama Canal. You have to you have to pay.
Yeah. But what happens, all of a sudden, production or wealth, instead of being distributed by masses, just like when the seed divides, it multiplies. Nothing in the nature is centralized.
Many variables, infinite variables.
Yeah. Permanent energy sources are not centralized. It's available equally to all people. But if I convert, the whole energy consumption to sources that they are temporary and centralized energy sources versus decentralized energy sources. Decentralized energy sources like sun, like building material which is available at the site. But if I have to go to temporary energy sources or temporary material, I denude all the forest. And these forests, they produce oxygen for human being. So, there is a symbiotic relationship between the greens and the human being. So if I destroy all the forest and denude all the forest, because that's the way I centralize the construction of the architecture or home, then I'll be in trouble. But if you go to decentralized energy sources, you can use Adobe all over it's available to anywhere you're trying to build a house. And that's how they did in the past. That's why there was no centralized energy material sources, let's say in architecture, or centralized, anything was not centralized to the extent that we have it today.
And the process of controlling the supply and demand gives people an incentive to be greedier and greedier.
Yeah, it's because, you know, it's the velocity of process. The velocity of process, if somebody is a genius in increasing the velocity of process of entropy, they get very wealthy.
But the side effects of these types of activities have an effect on everyone, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in the long run, you know, it's going to be a national deficit or debt or environmental debt. When there is so much pollution, there is an environmental debt. There's environmental deficit, just like economic, we have ecological deficit, which is more important than economical deficit. So that's why you notice, economically, you notice the debt is continuously going up. Now, the rate of that debt going up every year is the same as the rate of entropy of that cultivated culture.
Well, you know, the process of photosynthesis in most of the most populated countries, it's around 1 point something percent, they say, of what used to be. I mean, many years ago, photosynthesis was somewhere of 60, 70, 80% of all areas had, you know, beautiful flow of photosynthesis. It's been reduced now to sometimes 3%, but most major nations are right at 1 point something percent photosynthesis. Yeah.
See, what happens, you know, here is we have destroyed that whole process, which is open function of the creation. I mean, we have destroyed the soil. We have destroyed the air. We have all of that things, all those destruction is the process of entropy, which is by all scientists, they agree that's irreversible because it's one-way system. It's not open function. Creation was created based on open function. That means matter goes to synergy, synergy goes to matter. A seed
that
divides.
like open sourcing?
Yeah, it's open, you know, that means, you know, matter and synergy go back and forth. You know, it's just, for example, the byproduct or discharge of any living organism is diet for the next organism. Discharge of, let's say, animals, and manures and all that is what? Diet for the trees. And
everything gets assimilated.
Yeah, and the diet of the discharge of the trees is diet for the animals. You see, you know how, so we have really broken that link.
That symbiotic link.
Yes.
Symbiosis.
Because, yeah, everything in creation is eaten. I mean, it's produces product by utilizing the discharge of another species. Let's say animals and manures, it helps the trees, you know, produce fruits, and animal can eat the leaves and branch or whatever for their consumption.
In a cooperative, synergetic, symbiotic union.
Yeah. Everything we have created through entropy is antibiosis. That's why from antibiotic functions or cultivation, we have created what? Antibiotic.
And a lot of experimental data.
Yeah.
Give us fatal conveniences.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, you know, just what happens is the only reason, let's say, we expedite things is because of conveniences. These conveniences sometimes is not convenience to environment that we live in. So that's why we are destroying ecology for the sake of a centralized economy.
So this paradigm shift is going to get everyone's attention sooner or later, and it's the sooner it's coming very fast, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the race between availability of resources or affordability of the resources. Like, for example, as I mentioned to you, architectural elements, because of the inflation we have right now, all of a sudden the prices of everything has gone so high. And then, the other issue is that also availability. There is the forests are all denuded. You go from here to Oregon and Washington, you notice everything is cut. Now, cutting the trees is one thing for construction and all that, instead of using earth material for construction, which is available and it's decentralized. Now, it's not the issue of, let's say, denuded forest. The oxygen level of the environment changes. Now, when we cut a tree, this tree was seeping polysaccharides or sugar to feed the living organism of the soil. So all of a sudden, these trees are not functioning. These organisms die. So we have killed the soil too.
A chain reaction.
Yeah. It's because, those organisms were getting their diet from the trees when the roots are leaking into the soil. And then in the result, their discharge, which is fulvic acid, was dissolving all the minerals. And so the trees the plants can absorb it and put it in their fruits. That's why all of a sudden our fruits and products is missing metals, which is the missing link minerals.
Which is the natural part of the topsoil that sustains us.
Yeah. So this is entropy, all of a sudden, but the most process of economy, as I mentioned to you, Nicholas Georgescu-Roegen, almost 50 years ago, wrote the book, Entropy and Economical Process. It doesn't matter what kind of economy we have. It's capitalistic, socialist, dictatorship, or it's communist or whatever. It doesn't matter. But since it's all based on materism and entropy, it's going to have debt and inflation all the time. Those are the two factors.
So all those systems share the same entropical centralization process.
Yeah. That economic debt we have created, it's also the ecological debt that we have created. Same thing. You see that? How?
And the profit margin is not making sense.
Yeah. You see what happens if everything is centralized with me. In order, I'm centralized, I'm producing everything and hundreds of people are working for me. So in order to get from me to you, there has to be so many middle people. So all of a sudden, intermediary connections, it becomes intermediary connection. Intermediary connection do not produce anything. But since everything is centralized with me, to get to you, we need intermediaries. We need the grocery store, we need the marketing, then we need the warehouse, this and that, because me and you, we have forgotten how to produce our own food like they do in the old days. And
so we're going to the big superstore, the big supermarkets.
Yeah. And that's why you notice everything is getting bigger and bigger, more centralized. And that's why, it becomes centralization of wealth, accumulation of wealth. There is nothing assimilating, everything is accumulating with 1 or 2%. So it induces what we call economic slavery.
Volunteered slavery. Because the cultivation of desire, right? The desires of the population have been cultivated to produce this perfect result.
Yeah, if you thousands of you working for just one me, I make my own rules.
You're Amazon. You're an Amazon.
And slowly, in a hidden, cultivated way, if you don't abide by that, I say you're fired.
Yeah.
So that means the masses have no decision making. They have to go with the process, procedures, and practice. So that's why centralization is not in the long run very good for any society or any culture. It's not good to cultivate it. That's why, let's say in architecture, decentralized material is like what? It's adobe, earth material. So one of the good things that's happening today, printing houses with earth material, that you can take the material available with the site. I have a little laboratory, we find out what's in it and what to add to it. And you create a little sand and you can add a little bit lime. And then, you have really everlasting material. Look at all the very great ancient architecture. Some of them, let's say, Samarra in Iraq has been 1200 years, the 12th century, 800 years ago. You look at Wall of China has been, I don't know how many years, and there has been no crack in it and there is no cement.
Earth materials.
Yeah, the reason we created cement and concrete because it's convenient. It's easy, for the cement machine to come and put a pipe and you can pour it and then go. It's again conveniences, yeah. So these conveniences are sometimes cultivation of entropy.
I think I told you I lived in a rammed earth home where the walls were about 4 feet thick. And I lived out in the middle of the desert. And also I lived in a geodesic dome in the middle of the desert. And
Yes.
It's interesting when it's hot outside, you go in these structures, they almost maintain a very balanced temperature.
Yeah.
Especially if you let the heat go out the top of a geodesic dome, for instance, because the heat rises.
Yes.
You don't even need air conditioning or heaters in a lot of those places.
The houses are the shape and the form and geometry of the houses do not allow or cultivate airflow. Now, that's why in the old days they have minarets or airflow. Now, for example, if you have an airflow of 100 feet per minute in your house, when you turn your fan on, you don't change the temperature, but your body feels better. So it's biological comfort. So the fan does not change the temperature of the air, but the convection makes you feel better. So the issue of comfort is relative humidity, airflow, and vibrational radiation of the walls. So you mentioned Adobe. Adobe has a time lag. What happens, in summertime, it absorbs it, so it doesn't let the heat come in. In wintertime, it absorbs a lot of heat, so it gives it to the inside. So therefore, it maintains a very comfortable temperature. It's called biocomfort. Biocomfort is different than mechanical comfort.
And that's taking into consideration the shape, proportion, materials, and direction that you build.
Yeah, that's the whole topic. If sometime, we can maybe bring it, and I'll bring the biocomfort chart, and that how biologically a person feels comfortable in the house. So insulation, again, is another issue that has come along, which does not really have a place in the old architecture. We have thermal mass, not stopping the conduction of heat or cold from inside to outside and from outside to inside. If you look at, let's say, American natives, they had a lot of things called Glover salt.
Glover salt.
Ancient, they used Glover salt because it increased the thermal capacity of the wall, so the wall was responding with the environment. Today, we put insulation between the walls.
So if they were building with salt, that was basically a little crystalline. It was really a crystal formation.
Yeah, it's salt, they call it phase change material. That means at about 80 degrees, it liquefies. When something liquefies, absorbs a lot of heat because it has longing to solidify again. When it becomes 65, it solidifies, so it gives a lot of heat. So it's called phase change material. So the Glover salt has that nature. So maybe we can have a couple of sessions on that, how to use material which is responsive to environment and responsive to biological comfort of human, which is not mechanical comfort. Mechanical comfort is determined by humidity and temperature. Biological comfort is radiation of the walls and airflow.
And that leads to, I mean, mechanical systems lead to Newtonian assumptions, right? And the biological leads to existential reality. It gives us assurance.
Yes, yes. You know, and all along the history, you know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, you know, but what happens is, ancient history, this is the way they did the architecture.
But that was something they did empirically, right? I mean, they understood this not by going into a laboratory, but looking at nature.
Yeah, because what happened, you have created mechanical system. Mechanical system determines and controls humidity and temperature. Architecturally, they control the radiation of the walls or absorption of the wall, heat or airflow. As I said, you know, if you turn the fan on, the temperature doesn't change, but you feel more comfortable.
So there was an abundance of circular and triangular dwellings.
Yeah.
And people probably, when they ran into a cave, they may have noticed certain things happen inside a cave.
Yeah, yeah.
Or inside, if there was a place where there was walls of earth to be next to.
Yeah, that's why, you know, earth houses, you notice the temperature of the soil, 10 to 12 feet below the surface at any given point on earth is equal to average air temperature of that location, except it's a little warmer in winter and a little cooler in summer. So the nature is already giving us a free check.
So repeat that, please, what you just said.
Any place on earth, any point on earth,
Mm-hmm.
the temperature of the soil, 10 to 12 feet below the surface, is equal to average annual air temperature of that location. Let's say where you are, average annual air temperature is 60, let's say. So 10 to 12 feet below the surface, the temperature of the soil is equal to annual air temperature of your location, 60, except, again, you know, the nature is cooperating with us in symbiosis. It's a few degrees warmer in winter and a few degrees cooler in summer. It's the time lag of the soil. So that's why earth houses are pretty energy efficient.
And these are all empirical observations inherent to the gift that Mother Nature has offered us.
Yeah, and then generation after generation, they tweaked it, they perfected it, and it became, you know, a cultivated civilization of architecture, for example, or agriculture.
And a lot of the ancient cultures and civilizations did use certain shapes more so than others.
Yes, that's why, you know, they had certain things which was more, in my opinion, geometrical.
Like we talked about, just the shape of what you place your water in makes a difference.
Yeah, that's why, you notice all the water containers in the old civilization or remote area of Middle East, and you notice their egg shape.
Oh.
It's like this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happened, you know, one scientist by name of Schauberger was a very famous German scientist. He realized that what happens, you know, when there's an egg shape, how water, the structures at the same time, it's becomes more synergetic because of the shape. Just
by the resonance of the shape.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why everything is not circular, it's not a spherical, elliptical, it's what? Ecpherical.
Ecpherical.
Yeah.
The Eggfreud, did you have a word, Eggfreud?
No, the word what?
Eggfreud?
egg Freud, yeah. Egg firical is because egg is fire.
Firical.
Yeah, egg firical.
Etherical.
Yeah.
We can coin up some new words here.
Yeah, yeah.
New
We are
words for the
desperate.
new thinking and the new paradigm.
Yeah, because a sphere does not exist. So all these things about, flower of love and all that with circles and this, it has become all of a sudden a sport.
It
Sometimes
is very much like a sport.
Yeah, it's a sport. I mean, a sport, there is no reality to it, but it just, consume your time and take your mind off the other things.
Well, you designed something. Don't you call your design the flower of love, not the flower of life?
Yes, because flower of love is basically love. What is love? Love is immutation between a male in a polarity, immutation in polarity between a male and a female. Right? Now, if you have a rotation, and this peristalsis, vitality, a pulse of a female and a pulse of a male. So the male is going this way and the female is going this way. So if they're nested within each other, it becomes the shape of a heart.
So one goes counterclockwise, the other goes clockwise.
Yeah. Yeah, clockwise is the female, counterclockwise is the male.
And those shapes coming together gives a natural heart.
Yeah. That's why you notice the old, if you look at sundial and the time goes, you notice the shadow moves counterclockwise. Everything in synodic view, from our point of view in North Hemisphere looking up, everything is going what? Counterclockwise. So solar clock is going counterclockwise. But the person who made the clock to go clockwise, they wanted to what? Make it a feminine clock.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Now, is that because the women's bodies are into the cycle of the moon? Did that make any sense there?
Well, I mean, the female is always going clockwise. And that's why he wrote the book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Because Venus is the only, there's exception to every rule that God has created in creation, that man can realize that God can have only God can have these exceptions. How it happens, why is Venus is going clockwise? Nobody knows.
Now you've mentioned planets. Weren't we going to talk about, you've got a chart here that has Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars,
we
Jupiter,
have to look
Saturn,
at
Uranus,
the
Neptune,
whole
and
issue
Pluto.
of relativity. Let me see. If you look at, let's say, a Milky Way, if you look at our solar system, with as giant as it is, we'll get into that, is not even a speckle of dust in the whole things of creation. So now Earth is not even a dot or a speckle of dust. So
smaller than a grain of sand.
Yeah. So what happens, if you look at, for example, here, can you see this whole chart?
Yes.
Let me see if I can move this. If you look at, for example, let's start with Mercury. I have astronomical units with respect to relative to Earth. If you look at Earth as 1, now the ratio between Mercury to Earth is about 0.387. Venus is a little bit twice bigger. It's about 0.723. And Earth is about what? 1 point. And here Mars is about almost 1.5 times more than Earth. Jupiter is about 5 times more than Earth. Saturn about 9 times. Uranus about 19. Neptune is about 30. And Pluto about 39 times bigger than Earth. Now, here, what happened, this is the distance from the sun. If you look at Mercury is about closest one, and then we have Venus, then we have Earth, and then we have Mars. And you notice as we go down, all of a sudden, when Earth is about 92 million miles. Here we have what? We have Pluto, 36, almost 37 million, 3,700 million. That means 3 billion miles. Can you imagine? It's beyond our comprehension.
It's way, way, way out there. Like they used to say, far out, man. That's far
And
out.
let's say, if let's say it's Earth is about 100, this is about what? 3,700 times. 37 times farther from the sun. It's almost 3 billion miles away from the sun. 3 billion. That's Pluto. Now, if you go here, you know, period of revolution, you notice it takes Earth what? 365 days. Correct? Or it has changed? Yeah.
365.26.
Yeah, it's let's say 365 days to go one time around the sun. Here, Mercury is a quick, fast kid. It goes every 87 days. It goes one time around the. See, all of these, none of them, you know, they're going at the same speed. Everyone has its own diversified speed. So you can see diversity in this here too.
So they have a speed that suits their personality and keeps everything in a certain harmony.
Yeah. So here, when Earth is going, you know, it takes 365 days to go around the sun. Here, Mercury in 87 days, in about 3 months, it goes one time around. So it's going now. Here, you know, Venus goes at 224 days around. And then again, for Mars, it takes almost 686 days to go around. See, there's none of them are going together. Everyone has its own diversified attribute. Velocity, distance, span, size, everything. So here, you know, you notice Jupiter, it takes 11 years to go one time around the sun. Saturn takes 29 years, 30 years to go around the sun one time. And then, you know, all the way you go to Neptune, 164 years to go around the sun. And here, Pluto, it takes 247 years to go around the sun. So we are not going to be around to see one time going. So,
Don't even get one
but
time around on the
notice
merry-go-round.
every one of them, they are different scale. Yeah. Now the diameter of these things are all, again, you know, they're so diversified. Let's say Neptune, you know, is the biggest. You know, you notice, you know, it has 1,400. 1,400. I may have had a decimal point. Let me go check this on my note. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Is it okay?
Yes.
I may have, in printing, I may have missed that. No, it's correct. You know, I thought, because it was so out of a scale, you know, it just, I thought maybe there was a mistake, but that's what it is. 31, it's 31,800 miles. Yeah. So you notice each one of these, they have their own attributes. The creation is so diverse. There's no two things in creation the same. Same velocity, same space, same rotation, same vortation, same peristalsis. Just like two human, no two fingerprints is the same. So that's why when we go to some of this I have a few picture of these stuff. You notice, now the whole solar galaxy is not a dot in here. So that gives us a little bit relative scale and comprehension. Wow, I am not, this thing is so,
If our whole solar system is just like a grain of sand in the big picture,
then when there is such a power, such an empirical evidence, and God has given me the ability to see it with these two faculties here, then why I'm not obeying it? And I go and create entropy.
and you would think it would produce a lot of humility.
Yeah, I know. It's just all of a sudden you feel nothing. Just look at how many suns there. I mean, this is just one little things, and that's why I mentioned I get up in the morning at about 3 o'clock and I look at the stars and I say, "Oh my God!" You know. So each one of these is a sun.
Yes, indeed.
Now, I mean, then all of a sudden, that's why am I not obeying such a function? And I create my own system. Look at this one here.
Just look up and appreciate it.
Yeah. So it just gives us a little scale with respect to the whole, because this respect for the whole, it causes me a growth, elevation, and syntropy. I mean, ever increasing order, because maybe every day I have a little growth, little elevation higher, and maybe a little bit more syntropy, a little bit more order in my work, in my architecture, in my health, in my food, everything like that. Not to go toward entropy, which is increasing what? Disorder.
So with a little bit of respect and reverence for creation.
Yeah. I mean, it's teaching us everything we need to know.
Oh.
I mean, opposite of mathematics, they taught me that when you multiply 2 by 2 becomes 4, a seed divides itself in order to multiply. All 1 grain of pomegranate produces 7,000. 1 grain of wheat, 70. 1 grain of corn, it produces 700. And if you divide your happiness, you become happier.
Oh. I'm going to divide my happiness with everyone.
Yeah.
Well, you've divided your happiness once again in our conversation. So thank you very much for taking the time to divide your happiness.
You're welcome. Yeah.
And do you have something you'd like to share in closing?
How we do everything is about how we do everything. And how you are with anybody is pretty much how you are with everybody. And what you think about anything is how you think about everything. Are these fixed? No. This is part of our subconscious, cultivated subconscious. We can always use repentance, forgiveness, and all that stuff and change our ways, which is not symbiotic with this creation.
And that requires us to be introspective, to let our inner eyewitness testify to what empirical observations are clear to us.
Yeah.
We notice these pattern recognitions, right? These patterns, we recognize these as gifts of nature, and we have the ability to be empirical and actually observe it and experience it from that observation.
Yeah. Because by this observation, first, I have this blessing of the comprehension and seeing with these two things.
Oh.
And then this amazing thing. So I have two. One, the blessing of this creation, and then the blessing of seeing this creation. So between those two, why am I rebelling?
And when you look at the expanse of stars, you might be inspired.
Yeah.
Because this creation might bestow you with inspiration.
Well, yeah, exactly. What happens, even if you look at a finite a finite small animal or a finite particle. Within that, you can go as far as you can go in and as far as we can go out. The end of this journey is not known to anybody or within our comprehension, and it's only known to God. The beginning and the end.
Oh,
But we can be what? We can go through transformation, transnaturalization, syntropically, not entropically.
oh. Well, thank you, my brother. Until we five-verse again, another five-versation has been
Yes.
a blessing. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you. Blessing. Yeah. Bye
All
bye.
Hi-fi.
Close my eyes and drift away with you. I open my heart and let the love come through. How many lifetimes have we been through to feel so at home in the beauty of silence alone with you? Close my eyes and drift away with you. Open my heart, let the love come through. How much love do we have to make? How many lifetimes does it take? Some say that love is the mystery of life. Some say that life is the mystery of love. Some say that God is the mystery of mysteries. But I see the mystery when I look into your eyes. There's an essence. Love unknown to earth, reaching in our direction. Translating dreams into future perfection. Like some new language, without past, present, or future time, for the magic of the moment. Time and time again, tracing sweet inspiration. I sleep in other beds of reality, waking rich with hidden treasure. My soul springs into songs I never knew. Jumping in heart first, hypnotized by the flow, building pyramids of prayer, deep in nighttime energy, without an image to wear. I look in empty spaces, listening to the silence, refreshing myself anew. Holding on to the trance from the inside out, understanding the magic of music between us, living realities where everything that is good. Holding on to the trance from the inside out, understanding the magic of music between us, living realities where everything that is good.
Well, that's it for here and now. But until we meet again, this has been Louis-Virie Blanche thanking you for listening to Conversations with Elders on Glastonbury Radio 432. Bless you.
Quantum physics in the kitchen sink, the energy that follows the thoughts you think. Quantum physics and the cosmic sea, laws of nature too heavy for me. It's too cosmic, much too cosmic for me. Much too cosmic, much too cosmic.